So, guys, you might have to make your own coffee for a little while if on the third kid.
He does lots of stuff for me. That's just part of the example.
I'm kidding. So, Carrie, to kind of wrap that up with time and balance, it's obvious. You're talking about the jars. There's always priorities in your life that you never want to allow to suffer too much. It's seasonal. That I think we can always, life is seasons, and there's seasons in your life where you can do more of certain things and do less of certain things, and then just always having a kind of a flexible approach. I think date night is one thing. We have a lot of friends where like they're real religious about having a date night every Thursday night or every Friday night, but we found that didn't work for us. And so that had to be more flexible because Thursday night, the kids would be sick or there would be an event or something like that. So what we try to do is just always be cognizant of, hey, when's the next time where we can have some time together? And so we had a great date the other afternoon. We went to Dick's Sporting Goods. And
I told him that does not qualify. Sometimes you have to negotiate what qualifies as a date a little bit.
Okay, and the last thing that Carrie made me talk about this was sex here on this topic here, and
he didn't want to. I forced him.
No, really. I didn't talk. No, it's a big deal with couples. Talk about though, like a good sex life and what we've learned. Just tell everybody what a great lover I am.
Okay. I think you do a pretty good job of that by yourself. But really we were talking about...
You should have seen that night after I took her to the sporting goods store. It was on, God.
Okay, so what we did talk about is, and I have a series out there called She Does Him Only Good, and also about the intentionally unbalanced life. I have one called the Big Love, Big Life that talks about living that intentionally unbalanced life. And but I do have one called She Does Him Only Good, and in there I have a message about sex. But the thing is, sex is not the cornerstone of a great relationship. It's not like good sex doesn't cause a good relationship. A good relationship causes good sex. So it's just like with our relationship with God, holiness is not a root of salvation, but it's a fruit of salvation. If you love God, you're going to be trying to be like him. You're going to be trying to live like him. You want to do everything you can to please him. Well, that's the same thing with our spouse. You're not going to have great sex your way into a good relationship, but it will be an overflow of a healthy relationship. And this message that I just referenced, I talk about, sex is not the most important thing in your marriage until that area of your life isn't healthy. Then it becomes a big deal. So if you just keep your marriage healthy, then that's going to overflow out of it. I mean, yeah, you can have physical issues or you can have seasons of depression or different things. But overall, that is an overflow and an outflow. So if your sex life isn't healthy and if it's not good, first of all, I just want to encourage you, especially if there's been abuse in your past or if there's medical issues, get help for those things. Don't be afraid to ask for the help that you need because it's not worth sacrificing your marriage or that crucial aspect of your marriage over because we don't want to be vulnerable and ask for help. It's too important to the rest of your life. And then the other thing is that, just if you're having issues in that area of your marriage, just really look and say, is there something else going on here? Because many times it's a symptom. It's not a root cause. It's a symptom of something else. You know what I'm saying? So
let's go now. If we could put that scripture, Ephesians 5:33, on the screen, and we're going to talk about this for a few minutes. This will answer some of the other questions that have come in today. But Ephesians 5:33 says, however, each one of you must also love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. And I talked a little bit about that a couple of weeks ago about staying in love. But Carrie, we want to talk about these love and respect cycles, and there's a great book out there that people can get called Love and Respect. Why don't you talk a little bit, let's talk about, there's 4 cycles with love and respect. The crazy cycle, there's 3 cycles. There's the crazy cycle, the energizing cycle, and the reward cycle. Talk a little bit about
and we
that.
just kind of took these cycles from the book just to kind of give you an over. We want to make sure that we got these from the Love and Respect book. But the first cycle that they talk about in this book, and we found this to be so true, is the crazy cycle. And the crazy cycle is when the issue is no longer the issue. In other words, you're arguing all the time about money, or you're arguing all the time about the kids, or whatever it is. But really, that's not the issue anymore. The issue has become something so much bigger than that. But because the real issue is it's such a hot button issue. It's something that it puts you out there too much. You just kind of circle around the issue of money, or circle around the issue of time, circle around the issue of the kids. But the real issue goes back to something bigger. It comes back to being valued as a person. It comes back to equality, a sense of equality within the marriage. It comes back to feeling loved, feeling respected. And so the crazy cycle is when you're not even really able to articulate the real need anymore, and so you just continually dance around and argue around these other points until you've lost your sense of reality. What's really wrong with the marriage? You can't even really name it anymore.
Talk about that. We'll come back to that, but talk about the two main thoughts there of love and respect. Like, how does that look? Like, you respecting me. Yeah. What does that look like besides coffee in the morning?
No, and that's just a little fun thing that I do because I love it.
Because here's the deal. That scripture right there that's read all the time, that scripture right there in Ephesians 5:33, that is one of the richest scriptures in the entire Bible, and it contains so much when it comes to marriage. And it doesn't say, husbands, love your wives, and wives, love your husbands. It says, husbands, love your wives. And the word that they use for love for the wives is, wives, respect your husbands. And it's in those two arenas where we're able to deposit value into one another. And if that's not happening, that's where all these other things start to come, like the crazy cycle, where you start to argue about things, but that's not really the issue. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Something happens, you blow up, you're fighting over this thing, but if you follow that down to the root, it's because there hasn't been deposits there. That person doesn't feel loved. That person doesn't feel valued. And you see that in our society as a whole. That's why there's this victim mentality in our society. That's why a lot of times, people get hurt and they blame the government, or they blame that something happens, they blame the church, or they blame their boss, and they're constantly focusing on all the negatives, but the real issue most of the time going on is there is a lack of love and value and self-worth on the inside, and all these things really aren't the issue. There's a deeper issue. So in the marriage relationship, tell the women how you respect me.
Yeah, okay, so so the way that kind of looks...
And you call me Lord.
I do not do that. First I want to say that, I don't really call him Lord.
She does watch football.
Is a very, 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 when you get into it, it's not like... we both have very equal say in our marriage. There's a real sense of equality in our marriage. There's not like I'm beneath him somehow. And so because there's that dynamic, let me tell you what that looks like. It's easy to respect him. He lives a life and loves me in a way that makes it easy for me to respect him. I never have to doubt whether Stovall has my best interest at heart. I know he does. So when he puts the brakes on something that I want to do, like whether it's going on a trip or whether it's anything. I mean, like if it's something that I want to do something with the kids, a change I want to make in our schedule, if he sort of says, no, I don't really feel like it's time for that, he lives the kind of life in every area of his life that makes it easy for me to trust that decision and come alongside him and support the mission that we're both called to. Now, the way that I show that respect, it's not like I go around and, I respect you so much and I'll never talk back to you and I'll never challenge your opinions. It's not like that. He'll tell you.
No, she talks back to me all the time, up and including this morning, okay, on the way to church. But a lot of...
It's not a talk back. It's like I offer my opinion. If I think I can bring strength to the situation or a perspective that you don't have, I mean...
Totally. Totally. But Carrie, wouldn't you say this though? Wouldn't you say also, I think a lot about love and respect is both of us have come to the point where we just, like the things that I do that bother you, like you say something, but then there's also that principle of letting it go because, and the same thing you with me. It's like there seems to be like things maybe early in the marriage, like it would bother us more. Yeah. And we just learned how, look, I'm going to love my wife. Maybe she never changes this area. I mean, a real small example. There's some other, but like a real, my wife, you know what my wife does? Here's what she does. She leaves shoes in hallways and doorways. I mean, like she takes them off. Like, so if you're coming into a hallway, she'll take off her shoes and leave them right there. So if you're walking and you turn down a hallway, you're gonna